Good morning, Darlacansell, real estate agent with Real Broker. Here's a question that I get asked all the time from sellers, and it is a huge misconception on the part of, I think, a lot of people, sellers and buyers, right? This is what sellers will say to me. What happens if my home inspection fails? All right, so here's the great news. If you're a seller and if you're a buyer, there's no such thing as a perfect home. They don't exist, right? It doesn't matter if you live in it, if it's vacant, if it's brand new, if it's 100 years old. I guarantee you, if you hire a licensed inspector who inspects homes on a regular basis, they are going to find things wrong with your home. If they don't, listen, they probably didn't do a thorough job, because there's no such thing as a perfect home. There's none. In the 6.5 years I've been in real estate, there have been a few that have little minor things that get flagged, but not one single time has an inspector said this house is perfect. Never, not once. Now, I hire very thorough inspectors, and I recommend very thorough inspectors to buyers when I represent buyers. And I'm not talking nitpicky, because there are some out there that are just nitpicky, ridiculous, silly, right? There's a difference between that and thorough. So you cannot fail a home inspection, right? And like I tell sellers and buyers, sellers, from the standpoint of a seller, if you are going to be putting your home up for sale anytime soon, you want to be as proactive as humanly possible to get as many things repaired ahead of time as you can, because when that inspector goes through your home to inspect it, the feeling that you want to give to them is that you took great pride in your home, that you took care of it, and as things were broken, you repaired them. And look, I'm not talking about outdated things. Something can be very old and still be working and still be in great condition. Listen, there are some things, I've seen appliances in homes that are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and still work as good as the day that they put them in. Sadly, lots of the newer appliances in homes, lots of the newer HVAC systems aren't built to last more than a few years, which is very sad. Things back in the day, listen, I've had inspections at homes where an air conditioning system was 30 years old and still cooling and heating as good as the day that they put it in. They don't make things the way that they used to. So if people took care of what they had and kept them serviced and kept them clean and did all the things that they needed to do over the years, the likelihood is that they're still in great condition. So remember this, a home cannot fail an inspection. It cannot. 99% of items that are going to get flagged by an inspector can be fixed, can be remedied, can be changed. And so as a seller, the smartest thing you can do is, you know the kinds of things that are going to get flagged, right? You know that if you have leaky pipes, if you have missing shingles, if you have, when you open up your breaker box, if you have missing slots in your breaker box, if you have open junction boxes in your attic, if your attic doesn't have a whole lot of insulation, if you have cracked windows, if you have missing handrails, if you have rotten wood, if you have peeling paint. Listen, those things are going to get flagged by an inspector. But also remember this. You as the seller do not have to fix anything at all. You don't have to. Now, you run the risk if there's lots and lots and lots of things that are flagged by an inspector, and the buyer says to themselves, wow, you know, we submitted an offer, we love the house, we didn't know all these things needed to be repaired. The buyer then has the right to ask you to lower the price some more, contribute to their closing costs, fix some things, a combination of all the things, or the buyer actually can walk away, no questions asked, for any reason during their inspection period. But you as the seller don't have to fix anything that you don't want to, right? But you also run the risk of the buyer canceling the contract. And so that's a conversation that you should definitely have with your real estate agent when and if it comes to those negotiations. But the smartest thing that you can do as a seller is be as proactive as humanly possible and getting all those things fixed, ideally before it hits the market. And listen, there, you can do a pre-inspection. You actually can get your realtor to recommend a good, thorough inspector and say, look, I want to hire an inspector. It's going to cost you $400 or $500. Have them come in and flag all the things that they say are going to get flagged by an inspector, because they all follow the same Louisiana certification inspection list, right? They're all looking at the same things. Do a pre-inspection. Fix all those things that they flagged and be ready when your house hits the market. That way, when the buyer hires their inspector, that inspector's probably not going to find anything, right? Or maybe some little minor things that were missed or whatever. That's a great idea to do that. In fact, you can be proactive. The more things you can do ahead of time so that when your home hits the market, ready to go, ready to sell, an inspector would not be more inclined to really investigate if they feel like you've taken care of it. So just remember that